of a special way. And I could not be more excited to be here with you, of course, and to share a really cool story. We're going to have a story. We're going to have some challah. We're going to have some grape juice. We're going to have a blessing of all of our children. And I could not be more excited. So let's get down to business. My favorite thing. Okay, so the book I have today is called Rebecca's Journey Home. And this is Rebecca. And this is her family. It's the Steins. And it is a book by a woman named Bryn Olenberg Sugarman. That's Bryn. And she wrote this book about her family. And she changed the names a little bit. But it is a book about her family because her family is not a family that we see in a lot of books, especially books with Jewish characters. And it's kind of difficult to not see your own family in the books that you read, you know? So Bryn wrote this book about her family, and now I'm going to share it with you. Rebecca's Journey Home. Is today the day? Jacob asked his mother excitedly. Yes, today is the day I leave for Vietnam. Soon you'll meet your baby sister, she replied. It's Jacob. It was exactly a year since the Stein family had started their adoption. Mrs. Stein had always wanted to adopt a baby. She loved her two boys, Jacob and Gabriel, very much. It felt warm and wonderful each time she had a baby in her belly. But she also knew there was another way to build a family. That was to share their home with a child who was already born. There were so many babies and children in the world whose parents had loved them but could not take care of them. Mrs. Stein wanted to be the mother of one of those children. Mr. Stein agreed. He would be happy to have a little girl, calling him Daddy. So after many months of telephone calls and meetings and signing papers, the moment had arrived. She's ready. You can tell she's ready. They have the crib all set up with the toys. They have the rocking chair, which is important. Babies like to be rocked. All the documents were ready. It was time for Mrs. Stein to hug her family and board an airplane. She was going far away to a country called Vietnam, where a baby was waiting to become a member of the Stein family. Her name was Lee T. Hong, but they would give her another name, the English name Rebecca Rose. So they're looking at a globe here. The globe is supposed to stand for kind of the whole world. And they live so far away from the part of the world where the baby lives, you can't even see it on this part. They live on the other side of this globe, which is round, like an orange. And here we see Asia. Part of Russia is in Asia. And we have India and China. And this little finger right here is home to Vietnam. I've never been there. I've been to Cambodia, which is nearby, in Thailand, but not Vietnam. Have you been to Vietnam? I've heard good things. Every Friday night during the previous year, every Friday night, when the sun had set, the Steins would stand around the Shabbat table. It was set with candlesticks, grape juice, 2 loaves of challah, all the stuff you need. Delicious smells from the kitchen would be in the air. The family would sing Shalom Aleichem, welcoming Shabbat, and Mr. and Mrs. Stein would bless the children. That's what we do. We're going to do that later. Don't forget baby Rebecca, Jacob had reminded them last week. And so Mr. and Mrs. Stein had faced towards Vietnam. So they were standing here with their boys, and they decided to shift their bodies and faced in the direction of Vietnam. They held their hands atop an imaginary little head. Like this. And they said the traditional blessing for little girls. May God make you kind and righteous like the first mothers of our people, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And even though baby Rebecca wasn't Jewish yet, receiving her parents' blessing was a good first step. Because we can give everybody blessings. Everybody could use a blessing. Everybody could use a blessing. Soon baby Rebecca won't be Vietnamese anymore. She'll be Jewish, Gabe said. He was 4 years old, and he wanted to be an astronaut when he grew up. He had told his entire preschool class about baby Rebecca. No, she'll be Vietnamese and Jewish, said Jacob, who was almost 8. You can be 2 things. Jacob is right, said his mother. "You can be many things. Baby Rebecca will always be Vietnamese. Her hair will always be straight and black, her skin golden brown, and her eyes the shape of almonds. We'll read her stories about Vietnam to teach her that it is a special place, and one day we will all visit her homeland. And she'll also be part of the Jewish people, and she'll learn our history and celebrate our holidays and visit Israel. And of course, she'll be an American." The boys have a poster about Vietnam in their room and a poster from Israel. You can be lots of different things. For a long time, the Steins had only one picture of their baby. It was taken when she was born, and she looked a little fuzzy, like all newborn babies. I don't know if newborn babies look fuzzy per se, but they look very, very little. What did she look like now? The boys wondered. Then, just a week before Mrs. Stein was getting ready to leave, an envelope arrived from Vietnam with a new photograph. Everyone oohed and ahed. And copies of the picture were made for family and friends, but Jacob and Gabriel kept the original, and they would look at it every day. 5 months old is a big difference from when you're first born. Right now, you probably look the same as you did 5 months ago, but for very, very little babies, when they're freshly born, 5 months is a huge difference. Mrs. Stein's suitcase had been packed for nearly a month. She had known she could get a phone call from Vietnam at any time. The suitcase was full of tiny t-shirts and little dresses for Rebecca. There was a whole stack of important papers called documents. There were boxes of toys that members of the synagogue had donated for the children at the orphanage. Everyone at the synagogue collected lots of toys for all the other boys and girls who lived in the same place that baby Rebecca did. So everybody got something nice. And Mrs. Stein packed tiny candlesticks and candles so that she and Rebecca could celebrate their first Shabbat together. I got my first set of candlesticks when I became a bat mitzvah. Mrs. Stein had a long journey ahead of her. It takes 17 hours. 17. To fly from Oregon, that's where the family lived, in Oregon, to California, California to Japan, Japan to Thailand, and Thailand to Vietnam. Wow. How many airplanes was that? Oregon to California, California to Japan, Japan to Thailand, Thailand to Vietnam. That's 4 airplanes. Whew. When she finally stepped off the plane, she was in another world where the streets were crowded with bicycles, colorful outdoor markets, and golden statues of Buddha. There's one. Every day, the boys looked forward to their mother's emails. While she was waiting for the baby, Mrs. Stein was touring the country and shopping for interesting gifts, wooden instruments shaped like frogs, silk robes, a dragon water puppet. But Jacob and Gabriel knew the best gift of all would be the new baby. Finally, baby Rebecca was brought to the hotel. Mrs. Stein took many pictures and express mailed them to the family. There was baby Rebecca smiling in a bouncy baby seat, sitting in her mother's lap riding in a rickshaw, and wrapped in a towel after her bath. Babies usually love baths. Usually, not always, but usually. At last, the day arrived for Mrs. Stein and baby Rebecca to come home. The family arrived at the airport early and waited eagerly. It means they were very excited. Waited eagerly until they saw Mrs. Stein walking like a queen down the carpeted hallway. Little Rebecca was in a pouch, pressed to her tummy like a baby kangaroo. Jacob and Gabriel hopped up and down while everybody hugged. "I want to hold her," Gabriel shouted. "Me first, I'm older," Jacob argued. "Hey, what about me?" Mr. Stein asked. It's fair, he is the dad. "When we get home, everyone will have a turn," Mrs. Stein said. "You can even have a turn changing her diaper." "No thanks," Jacob replied. "That could be Gabe's job." Have you ever changed a baby's diaper? I'm not talking to the parents right now. Any of the kids, you ever change a diaper? Honestly, I did not change a diaper till I had a baby. It's an experience. 2 days later at Shabbat dinner, the Steins finally got to lay their hands on a real little girl's head as they said the Shabbat blessing for their new daughter. See, now they don't have to kind of hold their hands in the air and face Vietnam because their daughter is home with them. Soon, baby Rebecca was sitting up all by herself. She knew how to say goo and ga. She liked to smash her rattle against her own head, which Jacob and Gabe found amusing. When she slept, she sucked on her pointer and middle fingers together, these two, while the other hand covered her eyes. When she laughed, her black eyes sparkled. They just seem like they're having a lot of fun. Mr. and Mrs. Stein were busy filling out papers to make baby Rebecca an American citizen, and they were meeting with the rabbi to arrange her conversion to Judaism. Just before her first birthday, the family brought Rebecca to the mikvah, a ritual bath. Inside was a small, warm pool. Mr. Stein carried the baby down the steps and gently placed her in the water, while the rabbi recited blessings. She was given the Hebrew name Rivka Shoshana, which is basically just the Hebrew version of her English name, which was Rebecca Rose. Mr. and Mrs. Stein promised to give their daughter a Jewish education and raise her to love Shabbat and the holidays. Looks like maybe a grandma too, and a grandpa. And I assume that's the rabbi. Now the baby had 3 names. She had a Vietnamese name, Li Thi Hong. She had an English name, Rebecca Rose. And she had a Hebrew name, Rivka Shoshana. She was Vietnamese, American, and Jewish. And she'll be many more things someday, Mrs. Stein said. Maybe a mother like you, Jacob suggested. Or an astronaut like me, Gabe added. Or a famous poet, Olympic skier, and mathematician all rolled into one, Mr. Stein said with a smile. You can't be all of those things, Jacob protested. You can be as many things as you want to be, or at least you can try, his dad replied. She has many, many options. And with a smile and a shake of her rattle, baby Rebecca agreed. You can be lots and lots of different things all at the same time. You can be different races and ethnicity. You can be a religion and a nationality. You have to be multiple things right now. I bet you don't even think about it, but you're probably Jewish, but also an American, and also a Texan. What other things could you be? You could be lots of different things. Thank God we live in a world where we can be many, many different things. That's Rebecca's journey home. It takes lots of different kinds of families to be a Jewish family. There are lots of different ways to be a good Jewish family. And here's one of them. Sometimes you have children that are born to your family, and sometimes you have children who are adopted into your family. Either way, it's a family. Let's have a blessing. Speaking of children, a blessing for the children. So if you have your children, if you are a child in the room, and you're there with your parents or maybe your grandparents, and you are a daughter or granddaughter, let's put a hand on that daughter or granddaughter. If you're here and you're by yourself and you don't have anyone, you can just give yourself a hug. And so all of our girls, just like baby Rebecca, say Yisimech Elohim Kesara Rivka Rachel V'Leah. May God make you like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And over all of our boy children, over all the sons or grandsons, put a hand on them, give them a hug. Or if you're a boy by yourself and you're watching right now, you can give yourself a hug. We say Yisimcha Elohim Ke'Ephraim Menashe. May God make you like Ephraim and Menashe. And over all of our children, it's a big group hug, the whole family all together. And if you're watching by yourself, give yourself an extra squeeze, an extra good hug. And we'll say, Yevarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God give you the blessings God gives all of God's children, which is all of us, especially that of shalom, which means peace. Good job. Let's kiddush, shall we? First things first. My little itty bitty cups. I like my little itty bitty cups. And so hold it up if you've got an actual cup of grape juice or wine, but probably too young for wines, maybe just grape juice. And I'm so excited. And join with me if you'd like, or just shout amen at the end. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Now, challah. This is one from H-E-B's Kosher Bakery. They actually do a really good job. You might not think it because it's a grocery store, but their kosher bakery is really good. I'm excited. It smells like bread, it's fresh. My husband's so excited now that I do these, story times, because that means there's fresh challah in the house at least every other week, and that really makes his Shabbat very special. So over our challah, which is a little bit crumbly, but tasty. You can hold up your real challah if you've got rolls, if you have hot dog buns, if you've got tortillas, they're all bread and they're all good to use. Or if you just want to hold up some fake bread, some pretend bread, then it can be whatever kind of bread you want. That's very exciting. Hold it up as we say the motzi, which goes like Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Don't get any real crumbs on yourself, or try not to, or pretend crumbs. Thank you so much for joining me for challah and grape juice, and giving me the opportunity to give you a blessing, which is honestly the highlight of my job, and for sharing a wonderful story of Rebecca's journey home, which is actually the real life story of Bryn Olenberg Sugarman, and the story of how she brought her daughter is actually named Rachel, home to her family. And like I said, well, I didn't say it, but I thought about it. Cracked myself up. We are almost at the end of July, which is so crazy. Now, most months have 4 Shabbatot, or Shabbats, in them. But every once in a while, every once in a very great while, there is a month that has 5 Shabbats, 5 Fridays. And July, this year, one of those. There are 5 Fridays. And usually, Jamel Birnbaum and I take turns doing, Eat for Her, songs, and also fun music stuff. She does that. I read stories. We all play to our strengths. But because we have a 5th Friday, and that's so unusual, we thought we should do something a little different. So we have a wonderful friend of Beth Yeshurun, Joe Buchanan. He is a Jewish cowboy, and he plays such amazing music. He does Jewish stuff, he does country stuff, does Jewish country stuff, and it's really for the whole family. People of all ages, all sorts of folks love Joe, and that's going to be for our 5th Friday coming up. I'm very excited. I hope you're very excited, and I hope to see you then. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Enjoy your challah, enjoy your grape juice, enjoy your Shabbat dinner, being with your family and having so much fun. I'll be telling lots of fun stories too, like Rebecca's journey home.